welcome to This Weekend. It's a brand new show where every week we talk about your favorite sports. And this week we are covering college football. Let's get right into it. Okay. Big 12 had a horrible weekend. They lost to 3 Sun Belt teams. I called one of them, Coastal Carolina. Did not call Arkansas State and Louisiana, though. Who would have known? Louisiana blew out Iowa State. Had no shot. But horrible week for them, like I was saying. And let's jump right into the next segment. Last week's insane moment. This week's insane moment comes out of the Texas State UTSA game. Now this man right here, his name is Alan Orona. Now Alan Orona is the kicker for Texas State. Texas State was down 6 points in the fourth quarter with 1 minute left to go. UTSA punts the ball, and Texas State's like, okay, we're gonna get the ball back at least. And you know what they do? They return the ball 90 yards to the house. They return the ball, get the touchdown, tie the game. They're like, oh great, we can win. Alan Orona says, nope, not today. Not gonna do that. You're going to go to overtime. He misses the extra point, misses it. They go to overtime, okay. We still have a chance to win. They both teams score a touchdown, go into double overtime. Okay. UTSA stops Texas State at the goal line. They're like, okay, Alan Orona, you missed the extra point. We'll give you another chance. 20-yard field goal. You can make that. No big deal. Misses it. UTSA just, they drive down, get stopped, whatever, kick the field goal, win the game. Thanks, Alan Orona. You dropped my percentage down. Had faith in you. You dropped the ball. You missed the field goal. Thanks, buddy. All right, that does it for this episode of last week's insane moment. Now, let's get into shocking performance of the week. We have a little baby here, Myles Murphy, freshman out of Clemson. What did he do his first game? You know, freshmen usually struggle in their first game. No big deal. It's a new game. They're used to being the dominant player in high school, and then they come into college and they're not as good. Whatever. What does he do? Goes off, leads the team in tackles. He has 7 tackles in his first game. And he leads the team in sacks with 2. Uh-oh. Everybody else in the ACC, watch out. Myles Murphy on a mission. All right, and let's go into this week's headlines. We don't really have much going on in this week's headlines, except the Big Ten's coming back. The Big Ten decided that, you know, playing in the spring, not a good idea. Won't have a championship. You know, players are going to opt out. Who's going to play in the spring? So they're like, all right, we'll come back. October 24th. Mark your calendars. That's when the Big Ten announced that they're coming back. So exciting. This news was so exciting that Shaun Wade, the star cornerback for Ohio State, announced that he's opting back in. He wants to play. He wants a championship. And you know what? Why shouldn't he? And the Big Ten put pressure on the Pac-12. They're thinking about coming back in late October too. Why would they be the only Power 5 conference out? Everybody's coming back in. Let's go. We're going to have a 2020 season. All right, well that's it for the headlines. Let's jump right into the games. First game, we have Coastal Carolina taking on the Camels out in Conway, South Carolina. Now last week, Michael, who is the co-host at the time, he predicted Coastal would lose. I had faith. Coastal won. So, you know what? I think they do it again. They win. They beat the Camels. I have full faith in them. You know why? They forced 3 turnovers, and Campbell had 0 sacks. They had 0 sacks last game against Georgia Southern. If you can't get pressure on the quarterback, you're not going to win. It's plain and simple. The quarterback can sit back and just examine everything and throw it all over the field. So give me the Chanticleers. Give me the Chanticleers to win. Next up, Tulsa taking on the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Now, Oklahoma State is ranked number 11 in the country. But you know what else they haven't done? They haven't played a game. Not playing a game is a big deal, especially going against the team that just beat Eastern Carolina 49-24. The Tulsa Golden Hurricane just might pull off the upset, y'all. Their quarterback, Zach Smith, threw for 5 touchdowns. Big 12 is in big trouble. been Syracuse quarterback for the last couple of years, has never found his footing. I don't think he finds it again. Last week he struggled. This week he struggles again. Pittsburgh held their opponent last week to just 1 yard rushing. I'm going with the Panthers. Let's go Pitt. Next game, we have the Houston Cougars taking on the Baylor Bears. Neither team has played, so it makes picking this game a little difficult because you don't really have anything to go on except sheer gut and last year's statistics, and last year's statistics can be misleading. It's a brand new team. You never know what you're going to get. But last year, Baylor was 3rd in points per game in the Big 12, and Houston was 6th in the American Conference in points per game. They're basically the same. Baylor had 33, Houston was at 30 points per game. But defensively, completely different. Baylor, they were 1st in the Big 12 in points per game at 19, and Houston was 2nd to last in the American with allowing 34 points per game. However, Baylor lost their defensive coordinator, Phil Snow, to the Carolina Panthers when Matt Rule gutted Baylor by deciding to take the head coaching job of the Carolina Panthers. But I'm still going with the Baylor Bears. Give me the Bears. Next game, we have the Navy midshipmen going against the Tulane Green Wave. Last week, went with the Tulane Green Wave. This week, I hate to go against our armed forces, but I'm going to have to, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I'm going with Tulane. Navy, they lost to BYU 55-3. They only had 149 yards of total offense, and they gave up over 600, and 300 of that was on the ground. I think the Green Wave runs it down their throat. I think the Green Wave win in a landslide. Give me the Green Wave. Next game, we got Boston College going against the Dukies out of Durham, North Carolina. Boston College has yet to play. I think that is always a factor. It's always difficult to win your games when you really haven't played any. You don't know what's going to happen. And to make matters worse, it's Jeff Hafley's first game as Boston College's head coach. I think the Dukies bounce back. I think Chase Bryce has a good game. Give me the Dukies. I think the Blue Devils win. Next game, we have the USF Bulls going against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame obviously beat Duke, and you know what they're all about. You know Ian Book and Kyron Williams. He had over 112 yards. He had 112 yards on the ground and 2 scores. USF only beat the Citadel 27-6. Not a good showing for Jeff Scott in his first game as a head coach down in Florida. So I'm going with Notre Dame. I'm going with a safe pick. I don't think that there's anything there to be worried about. Next game, UCF taking on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Georgia Tech just beat Florida State 16-13. I picked against them last week. Am I going to do it again? You know, this one's another tough one to call. I think it's going to be close. I think Georgia Tech has a chance. I just don't know. It's tough to pick for Georgia Tech with Jeff Sims. He threw 2 interceptions against Florida State. But UCF hasn't played yet. Again, that's a big deal. But they're bringing back their quarterback who had over 3,000 yards last year and had over 30 touchdowns in Dylan Gabriel. Give me the Knights! I think the Knights win. I think it's going to be close, though. Next game, we have the Appalachian State Mountaineers going against Marshall's Thundering Herd. This is another one. This one, I am hesitant to pick against Appalachian State because I'm a fan. I like what they're doing over there. I feel like they're always winning and representing North Carolina well. But Marshall, they had 627 yards of total offense against Eastern Kentucky. They completely routed them. They won 59-0. Appalachian State squeaked by Charlotte, won only 35-20, and they had 3 turnovers that game. I'm going with the Thundering Herd. Let's go, Marshall. I think I have full confidence in their offense is going to keep rolling. Appalachian State's going to score some points, but I think when all's said and done, the Herd is going to win. Next game, we have Clemson taking on the Citadel, opening up their brand new seating arrangement. 19,000 fans. I think the 19,000 fans that show up are going to be very happy. Clemson's going to win. No shocker here. I think the freshmen better get ready to play because they're going to get a lot of playing time. Next game, we got game day. Miami taking on Louisville. This one's really difficult to call too because with both teams, they have nearly identical, with the last game, they have nearly identical statistics in offensively speaking. Louisville loves to run the ball. No, Louisville loves to pass the ball, excuse me. Louisville passes the ball like crazy. They threw for over 300 yards, while Miami ran for over 300 yards. It's basically the same thing. It's tough to tell who's going to win. Do you think that running the ball is going to win, or do you think passing the ball is going to win? I'm not sure what to tell you. I just believe that Malik Cunningham, high-tempo offense with passing the ball, I think that Louisville gets it done and they beat the Hurricanes and do just enough to hold on. Gonna be a close game though. It's just difficult to pick from the two philosophies, running the ball or throwing the ball. Next up, we have Wake Forest taking on NC State. NC State's first game of the 2020 season. Wake Forest had a pretty good showing against Clemson. They held them to 37 points, and with that high-powered offense with Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, 37 points is pretty good. That's a good showing. NC State, they're bringing back their quarterback, who threw for only 1,200 yards passing. He had just 8 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Whether he starts or not, the last information I saw, he's starting. Whether he finishes the game remains to be seen. I don't have confidence in him. I think Wake Forest bounces back and gets a win. That does it for this week's college football games. Now, as a special treat, last little segment that we're going to do, we're going to go over my predictions for this year's college football playoff. Now let's jump right into it. I'm not going to waste y'all's time. Number 1 is going to be Clemson Tigers. Why Clemson Tigers? Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, the best 1-2 punch in college football. Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence are making a run for the Heisman this year. Book it. Now let's go into number 2. Ohio State, you gotta have him in. Second best quarterback in the country. Big Ten's back in the 2020 season. Put Ohio State back in the college football playoff conversation. Why shouldn't they be there? Justin Fields, Sean Wade, let's go. Now number 3, Florida Gators. Okay, I know, shocking. I know, it shocked me. I was debating between Georgia, Alabama, and Florida. With none of them playing yet, it's hard to guess. Because all this is guessing. I can't even tell you why. It's a gut feeling. I know someone down in Florida. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Florida wins. They go on to play in the college football playoff. At number 4, I love what Spencer Rattler's doing down in Oklahoma. Lincoln Riley has something special down there. Every quarterback he gets, he turns into gold. He's like Midas. He has that silver touch, or that gold touch, excuse me. I think that they have a really good season. I think that they win the Big 12, and I think they make it into the playoff. Anyone who disagrees, that's valid. They're entitled to their own opinion, but they're wrong. All right, let's say Clemson, Oklahoma, first semifinal. Let's see who wins. Clemson, shocking. I think Clemson is just too much. I think, again, Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne are just too much, and at the end of the season, the freshman defensive line are going to be really coming into their own, and I think that they'll put enough pressure on Spencer Rattler to win. And now, let's go Ohio State, Florida. Justin Fields is going to be too much to handle. Florida's defense is not going to be able to stop him. Justin Fields is going to win for Ohio State, and they're going to make it to the championship. But who's going to win the championship? Between Clemson and Ohio State, it's going to be a rematch of last year with the controversial calls, Nolan Turner's interception in the end zone. Who's going to win? I think Clemson wins again. Go Tigers. Am I right, Coach O? Go Tigers. Clemson wins. No doubt about it. Championship team of the 2020 season, Clemson Tigers. And that's going to do it for this weekend, and I'll see you next week in college football.